Yeah, good morning all. I hope I'm audible to all of you. Yes. Okay. I hope you have followed yesterday's session, which we discussed about the relationship between state, society, and public administration. And also we have started the Oriental approach, isn't it? So today we are going to continue the yesterday's lesson, that is the Kautilya's. Yesterday we have discussed about the Saptanga theory and the important officials described by Kautilya. So let us today discuss what was the administrative system discussed by Kautilya in Arthashastra. So basically, when Kautilya spoke about the administrative system, we can say that it was, very advanced. Even today, in the organizations, we talk about division of labor, and we talk about the functions of specialists and about the hierarchy and all these things. These were discussed by Kautilya in Arthashastra. So he emphasized on principle of authority. Now, what is authority? There is a difference. Most of the times what happens, many of us mistake power and authority. The two terms are used interchangeably. That is, they, sometimes they use the word power, sometimes they use the word authority. But what is the basic difference between the term power and authority? Power is nothing but, you can say the person who influences the other through coercion, we can say, or, whereas authority, the power comes from legality. A person has the right to influence or, to perform the duty with the law. That is through legal. That is the difference, basic difference between the power and authority. And a division of labor. Division of labor is very important for any organization, because each and every one of the staff members or the personnel of any organization or any system, they should be able to understand their role in the function, in the functioning of the organization. Now, in the previous classes, we have discussed every organization, it has got certain roles. So in order to achieve, in order to accomplish that particular goal, every person has to perform some kind of role, isn't it? So with the division of the labor, depending upon their skills, depending upon their qualifications, depending upon their caliber and all, the work is divided among the different people. So the division of work is very important for any organization or any system to successfully accomplish its goal. Then comes the principle of authority, obedience, and discipline. This is very important in any organization, because unless there is kind of discipline and obedience is nothing but following the orders of the higher authorities in order to perform the functions, in order to achieve the goals of a particular system, they need to follow the rules. They have to follow their superior. So this is very important for any organization, and this was described by Kautilya as well in Arthashastra. And he also spoke about coordination. See, there are different departments in an organization, isn't it? There are different sections. So for achieving a particular goal, all these departments, all these divisions, they have to work in coordination. See, suppose there is no coordination, what happens? The work which has been, there is a deadline for any organization or any department, we can say, that cannot be achieved without proper coordination among the different people. Then comes, he also spoke about sovereignty, that is the supreme power lies with the king or the state. So this was, he has described the administrative system in this following way. Then he also spoke about the different elements of administration. Now, in the next, actually in the coming class, we will discuss about the classical approach. In that, we have discussed, we will discuss about the principles of organization. But you will be surprised to know that even Kautilya, he has spoken about the different principles of organization even during the in those times. He has made very clear that a hierarchy is needed. That is the relationship between the superiors and subordinates in order to give the orders, to follow the orders, And all these aspects which are discussed in the present organizations, all these were discussed by the Kautilya in the Arthashastra. And what he said is, first thing, king safety is very important, and king is the only person who can give authority to all the officials, and the people have to obey the rules, and they have to accept the supreme power of the king. Besides that, this is related to which principle? This is related to the unity of command. Now, unity of command is nothing but the orders can be given by one single authority. This we will discuss in the later class also. In the classical approach also, we are going to discuss about this unity of command. This unity of command has been discussed by Kautilya in Arthashastra as well. And he also said that there is a need of a group of officials who can help the king in performing the functions, in implementing the whatever the decisions taken by the king. Those decisions have to be translated into actions. Now, who will do that? That is done by officials. Now, yesterday I spoke about bureaucracy, isn't it? The bureaucracy is nothing but it's a body of officials who are going to implement the programs, the policies, the schemes which are decided by the government, isn't it? So this bureaucracy, even Kautilya has spoken about these officials during the time of Maurya, and he has described the characteristic features, how the officials should be. He said that the government officials should actively participate in the administration. And he also said that these officials should be paid very the decent amount. Why the government officials have good salaries? What is the need? Because they should not get tempted to the other. They should not get tempted to the other the bribes, or they should not indulge in the corruption. So this is the reason why the government officials should be paid very decently. And not only that, their tenure should be permanent. See, the main reason why many people they choose the career in government, because they want the job security, isn't it? Even Kautilya has prescribed that the positions of the government officials should be permanent in the kingdom, that is near the king, whoever is working, their tenure should be permanent, so that they cannot, they're not attracted towards other activities, and they will work for the welfare of the people. Now, there are different officials, who are working under the king, as we discussed. So let us see now few of the important officials who worked in the kingdom of Mauryan Empire, or as described by the Kautilya. See, the main person is, as we have discussed, king is the supreme power. Under the king, there is Mantri. Mantri is the minister. Then Purohit. Purohita is the main head priest, we can say. Then there is a Senapati. Now, Senapati, as we all know, he is the commander of the army. He heads the army. Then Yuvaraja. Yuvaraja is the prince. Then Dawarika. Dawarika is chief of palace attendants. So there should be a person who is in charge of looking after the people who is working in the palace. So the head of that particular work is Dawarika. Then chief of the king's guards. See, in the kingdom, there are several guards, we can say, who protect the king, who protect the kingdom, who protect the people also. So the Antavamsika is the chief of the king's guards. Then magistrate. Prashasta is the magistrate. We can see these are the terms which we are telling in English are somewhat related, to the present times, because depending upon the functions which Kautilya prescribed in Arthashastra, comparing that, we can, they have given the nomenclature for the positions which Kautilya has described in those times. Then Samnidhar is the chief treasurer. Yesterday, I told you that the king gets the revenue from the taxes. and each and every gift which is received by the king should be mentioned in the record book, isn't it? So the treasury, whichever the royal treasury is there, Samnidhar is the in charge, or we can say the chief treasurer who looks after the royal treasury. Then comes the Nayak, that is the town guard. Then chief of the town is Por. Por is the chief of the town. And there are several other important officials like Dandapala. Yesterday we discussed Danda is nothing but army. Now officer of the army personnel is called as Dandapala. Then guardian of forts, Dargapal. See, Darga is, yesterday we discussed it as the fort. So Dargapal is nothing, is nobody, but he is a person who is in charge, or who safeguards the forts. Then the another officer is officer in charge for boundaries. So the kingdom has got certain geographical area restrictions. They have got certain boundaries. Then Antapala is the officer in charge of boundaries. Then Ativahika. Ativahika is the officer in charge of the forest, who will take care of the forest and the other, aspects, the trade and commerce, which would be, continued with the products of the forest and all other people residing in the forest. So all those activities will be looked after by Ativahika. So these are the important personnel which are described by Kautilya in Arthashastra. Kautilya, besides describing the important, important officials, he explained about important, departments also. So one of those important departments is Home Department. Now, Home Department, it included the Prime Minister, is the main mantri, we can say, the chief of all the ministers, that is the Prime Minister. He was included in the Home Department. Then, there is a doorkeeper, then a superintendent of a harem. And harem, the kings, for the services of the kings, there are several gods, okay? And there are several workers, there are several people who work for the king and his family, that is the royal family. So for looking of all these, activities, superintendent of harem was responsible for that. Then just now I spoke about the officer in charge of boundaries, Antapala. All these people, they constituted, they became the part of the Home Department. And, very interestingly, there is superintendent of passports also. In case if the person has to move from the out of the kingdom and come inside. So there were passports, not exactly the passports which we have in the modern days, but something like, we can relate it to the contemporary times. So they were very advanced, we can say. Even in those times, all these were ahead of their times. It is mentioned in Arthashastra. Then here Kautilya has prescribed, has explained about the functions of the few ministers, but he has not explained about all the ministers, like, what are the exact functions of the different ministers and all. Then when we talk about the judicial system, during the time of Kautilya, there existed a very good judicial system. And, what he said that administrative court should consist of persons who are very proficient in Dharma Shastra. See, because they should have, they should be very wise. They should know what is right, what is wrong. They should be able to give justice to the people. So only those persons who have good knowledge over law, who have good knowledge over Dharma, those persons should only be responsible people. They should be part of the administrative courts according to the Kautilya. Then another important aspect which is discussed by Kautilya is spies. He mentioned that spies are the very important, and it comes under the Home Department only, because spies are the people who gather information, like what the other kingdom, they are planning, what are the other kings are planning, the enemies, what are they planning. And you people must be aware of these spies also, because in most of the Tollywood and Bollywood movies also, you must have come across the spy system. How does it work. Even today in the modern times also, there are, different agencies of even government who are working as spies in the other countries. And this was considered as very important by Kautilya. Then financial administration. Now, as discussed yesterday, we discussed that revenue comes from the people. The people pay taxes to the king to conduct the activities, to implement the programs or schemes, whatever it is. Like, the welfare activities, they have to be undertaken by the king. So this amount goes to the royal treasury, and there is an officer who is in charge of the treasury. And there is also superintendent of accounts who maintain all the accounts, and whatever the amount they are receiving, everything will be noted. And there were officials like present times, the collectors and all, who are responsible for maintenance of law and order and collection of taxes. So these kind of officers were also present during the time of as described by Kautilya in Arthashastra. And he mentioned that the treasurer general was custodian of the royal treasury. See how much amount is going for what purpose was maintained in those times also. So with this, briefly in our syllabus, we discussed about who are the important functionaries as described by Kautilya, the financial system, and the administrative structure and the revenue system and all. But if you really try to analyze about the functions of the different officials, we can relate it to the present time officials also. So that with this, today we are concluding the Kautilya's unit, and for next is the next part of the Oriental approach is the unit 6. Sun Tzu. Sun Tzu is as you just when you listen the word Sun Tzu, he's none other than the Chinese. He was a Chinese military person who has written a book called Art of War. So this Art of War is a very beautiful book which explains about the strategic planning, strategic thinking, and how to overcome the challenges in the war, how to wage a war, when to when the king should be ready to go for a war, or when he should stop himself for going for a war and all. It is a beautiful book written by Sun Tzu, and this book is very important, we can say, because even today different organizations, different businesses, they are following the principles which were discussed by Sun Tzu in those times. That is the book written is Art of War. So now what is actually this book is about? It emphasizes on strong leadership, isn't it? Strong leadership. Now all of us know, for any organization, for success of any organization, what is needed? A good leader, isn't it? Even for the functioning of public administration, we have the elected leaders, and the country can effectively perform only when there is a capable leader. So in this context, we can say that strong leadership is very essential, and all the organizations, they teach different traits of a leader, different forms of leadership and all. So these were discussed in the book Art of War. And he also mentioned about strategic thinking, how to think in advance, like how to plan, how to try to succeed, avoiding the challenges which might come on the way, and use of information, that is like how the organization should function successfully. For that reason, they need some kind of information from other aspects also. Yesterday I was speaking about risks, isn't it? What did the risks say? That administration has definitely some kind of external factors, isn't it? Influence of external factors. In the same way, Sun Tzu also, he mentioned that the information, like what are the plans of the other person, what are the plans of the other opponents, that is very important to know, to assess, to analyze our performance. All this depends upon the different factors, and all these aspects which we are discussing today in the different business schools and organizations and MNCs and all these were discussed by Sun Tzu long back. So we can say that organizational studies, it is one of the most relevant and most prominent branch of science which is being studied. And the applied aspects of strategic management, project management, then security management, innovation management, all these aspects were discussed in the book. And we can basically, we'll discuss organizational behavior as a separate separate branch in public administration also, and even in the management. So all these aspects were discussed in the book, Art of War. So, and very interestingly, how much is the book is, you see, it's not some volumes together. It is just 100 pages, So here, this shows that quality is more important. Quantity is not important, isn't it? Even in the examinations, many people, many students, what they think is, we need to write pages and pages and pages so that we'll get many marks. But that's not true. If you write perfectly, whatever the answer, question they ask, if you write perfectly that answer, then definitely will get good marks. So here, quantity is not important. Quality is more important. In the same way, the book, Art of War, it has explained so many contemporary relevant topics which we study today. But the book is of only 100 pages. Now, what is the main essence of this Art of War book is, now actually this is a compilation of different strategies which are required for for a war, to succeed in for a war. And it is translated into different books, different languages, that is the European and the Asian languages, and also in English also there are several versions of this book. If possible, I think if you can Google this, you will get a complete book of this. So what is the main essence of this book is, we have to think properly, assess and compare our strengths and weaknesses, before attempting anything. That could be a war, or, or achieving a goal, or setting a goal for ourselves. So this implies to our lives also. Now we have to analyze. See, waging a war is, it need not be you go to a field and you shoot at the enemy. Here we can just compare that to our lives also, the challenges we face. So there are several things which can be learned from this Art of War. So we need to think, we need to assess, we need to compare what are our strengths, what are our weaknesses. So what strengths can be, we can sharpen, and what are the weaknesses we can reduce so that we can achieve our goal. Then it explains about the economy of the warfare and how success can be achieved. See, what happens whenever there is a war, there is, huge expenditure, on the human resources or the machinery, or, whatever the weapons are needed and all. For all these things, a lot of expenditure is needed. So how to cut down the cost? All this, the economy of the warfare was explained in this book. Then, strategic attack is most important thing which is discussed in the book. That is the source of strength. It defines, the source of strength as unity, not size. See, even if our number is very less and the opponent's number is very huge, but there are certain strategic planning. With the strategic planning and strategic thinking, you can overcome. For this, you must have seen in different movies, the recent movies also. If the king, the person main, what he does, protagonist of the movie, he uses his mind. He uses his skills, and he tries to overcome now the challenges, which if the army is very huge. In the same way, the strategic attack has been explained. So, and alliances is also important in this. As I told, even in the Kautilya also, the friendship with the neighboring kingdoms is very important, because that will enhance the strength of the kingdom. Suppose if some foreign king is coming and attacking, then these people, our neighborhood, should be our friends, so that they can support us, but they should not support the enemies. Then whatever the conflicts might arise, that should be predicted in advance. so that we can be prepared for that. Then flexibility and adaptability is very important, because what happens when a person, when a king goes for a war, suddenly there could be change in the weather, there could be change in the complete, atmosphere, or, the food habits, or, they might not get the food, water, and all these things, So the soldiers, they should adapt themselves to the changing circumstances. So we ourselves also, not all the times are same, but we should be prepared for the challenges. Even the pandemic which has come, we were not actually aware of the kind of pandemic, but slowly what happened, we earlier, as soon as the lockdown, the pandemic broke, there was a lockdown, nobody came out of the homes, isn't it? Then later what happened, slowly we tried to adapt ourselves with taking proper precautions. That is, changing ourselves to the changing times is more important. Otherwise, we cannot, exist in this world. For the survival, changing to the changing times is very important. That is, adaptation to the changing circumstances is very important. Then not only physical fighting, but in the art of war, there are several methods which can, the use of natural power, we can say, like, fire, water, how they can be used, in attacking the enemies. All these are discussed in this book. And more than all, intelligence and spy system, that is more important for any king, because even in the Kautilya also, he has described about spies, the importance of the spies for any king. So the person, who is in charge of the army should be intelligent. He should be able to make quick decisions. He should take initiativeness, and he must support his people. And the spy system is also very important to know about what actually is happening around us. Then he discussed, Sun Tzu has discussed about the strategic, leadership. So what he says is, leadership is nothing but, it is a matter of intelligence, trustworthiness, humanity, courage, and at the same time, strictness also. Now, why, if we believe in a person, that that person is going to safeguard us, so whatever the person takes the decision that is for our good and good for the organization, then definitely the subordinates who are working under a leader will definitely deliver their best. Suppose if they don't have any kind of trust in the leader, then they will not work for any organization. Now that we can apply it to the present times also. Even in our organizations, the person who is superior to us, if we really trust whatever the decisions he is taking, that is good for the organization and also for the individual, then definitely we will follow their orders. But many times what happens, the organizational interest might vary, the leaders or the superiors interest might vary, and the individual interest might vary. So because of this, conflicts takes place in the organization, and whatever the goals are there in an organization, that might not be achieved at whatever timeline they have decided. Probably they might not take place, because it might take some time because of these all kinds of conflicts and all. So there were certain questions which were raised in the book. That is, whose moral influence is stronger, and whose followers are more willing to subscribe to common goals. Now, as I told you, there are certain goals, whether it is in home, whether it is a society, organization, state, country, or it was previously kingdoms, whatever it is. The people who are willing to give their best to the common goal, that is more important. Their willingness is more important. And how does that willingness come? That willingness comes with the influence of a leader. If the leader is able to influence them, convince them, motivate them, then only this is possible. Otherwise, we cannot imagine, especially in the wars, what happens? They have to give their lives, isn't it? Unless they're totally convinced, these people are not going to fight for their own kingdom. Then abilities of the leader is very important, and they should be able to compassionate. They must have kind of compassion towards their people. At the same time, they should be able to be a little strict. They should not be carried away with the emotions, because human beings are full of emotions, isn't it? And especially when the challenges come, we are amidst different kind of emotions. And especially if you take the case of ourselves, especially the students, what happens whenever the exams come? They do not prepare for the examination right from the beginning. What they do during when the examination schedule is given, they try to do night outs, isn't it? And one day batting and all. So all these aspects, what will happen? That will increase the stress. So because of this stress, there are several disadvantages. That is health wise, and you will not be able to perform well in the examination and all. So with the self discipline, and right from the beginning, the planning is very important. Every element, if you plan according to the timeline, then definitely you can achieve your goal. So in the same way, even in the art of war also, they have explained about the different strategies, how a person, how the leader should not be carried away with the emotions, how they should balance the emotions, how when the person, when the subordinates are behaving, suppose if they are scared, if they do not want to move forward, this person should be able to convince them, influence them, motivate them, so that they can achieve their goals. Then training is also very important, according to the Sun Tzu, because unless they are trained, there is a trained personnel, then you cannot imagine them to wage the wars, because the other opponents, they can be more powerful, they must be more trained, or they must be having the advanced technology. So always the person who is entering into the war field should be trained and updated. And even in the present times, especially in the world of technology, internet and social media, the businesses, there are several businesses which are coming up every day. Now, how to survive this competition? So for this competition, they must be aware of what kind of changes are taking place. You need to update your skills, you need to update your knowledge. For this purpose, even today in the business schools and all, this art of war is being discussed, because you should be aware of the competition in the market. So what are the strengths, not only of our strengths and weaknesses, but also our opponents or competitor? So what are plus points and minus points? All these aspects you should study. So for that reason, you need to update yourself, because knowledge is never static, isn't it? It keeps changing. Knowledge, keeps changing from time to time. There are every day several lot of knowledge is added to the present domain of knowledge. So we have to learn. We should keep learning. If unless you update yourself, you will become outdated. Whether you are a student or whether you are a working personnel, or for that matter, anybody, any individual, any organization, unless they update themselves, they cannot survive. So all these, these aspects were discussed in those times by, in the book Art of War. Then, art of deception, it is very interesting also. Art of deception was also discussed in the book. It is not that, to show what you have, you have to deceive the opponents. That suppose what happens many times, many people, they have little knowledge, but they show as if they have more knowledge. But the real person who wants to, compete in the market or compete with the other opponents, they will not show all their skills, their abilities. You have to surprise the opponents with your skills at the right time. And this was discussed in, Art of War book, that is Art of Deception. You need not show always yourself as very strong, but you need to really exhibit your skills, your knowledge, at the right time when it is required. Otherwise, what will happen? The opponent will become alert. If you suppose, if you behave as if you know everything, you are knowledgeable, you can do anything, you have a lot of skills and all, the opponent will become more powerful. They get more prepared. But once if they have knowledge that this person is, he doesn't have good skills, or he's very average and all, so they take you very lightly. it applies to us also in our daily lives also. Always we need not tell others that, we are very strong, we are knowledgeable and all. But when the right time comes, you can show your skills. You can perform well in your examinations. You can get good marks, then show to them. So this art of deception is very interesting. In case you have time, you can just go through the original book also. And, as I discussed flexibility, Sun Tzu also discussed about flexibility. And, what he said is, we should always need not be very adamant. Suppose if you are strong, we can go and fight, okay, with the opponents. But suppose we are weak, try to use your mind. Try to, adopt different strategies, then overcome. Otherwise, it's better to avoid. All these things, they're very relevant to the present times also. Whatever the principles are discussed in this book. Then when we talk about, avoiding conflict, it's very important, whether it is, whether it was during the time of Sun Tzu or in the present times also, organization. Any organization will work with, with different people who have got different differences in the ideologies and all. So when you feel there is a kind of, conflict might happen, it's always better to avoid the conflict, to keep our peace of mind. That is more important. So and importance of, Sun Tzu's writings, or his postulates in the present times is responsiveness to the environment. This is another important point, which I really like is, according to the Sun Tzu is, the water shapes, its current, from the lie of the land. See, as the land moves, when it gets the way, the water moves. In the same way, the warrior also, he has to shape, his victory from the dynamic of the enemy. That is, he has to adopt himself to the, whatever the opponent, how he is prepared. You have to adopt yourself. You have to be more flexible. You have to be more responsive to the environment. This is very important point. And leadership, we have already discussed. For Sun Tzu, effective implementation, whatever the strategies are there, that is possible only through the effective leadership. And, that is more important according to the Sun Tzu. So these are the important, we can say, postulates or important essence of the book Art of War by Sun Tzu. With this, we have completed the Oriental approach. So block 1 and block 2 have been completed with this chapter. So block 3, in block 3, we are going to discuss about the classical approach. So I think we have a little time, so I can just continue with the classical approach. Then we can speak about, we can take few questions if you have any doubts. So classical approach, now, there are several administrative thinkers in public administration, and there are several approaches as well. So to begin with, we will discuss classical approach. So in classical approach, mainly according to our syllabus, we will discuss about Gullick and Arvik and the Fayol. They have, postulated few principles of organization. Now, as we have been discussing, every organization has a particular purpose, isn't it? Now, without a particular purpose, you cannot imagine any organization to work, because they should have some kind of goal. They must have some kind of purpose. Now, the group of human beings, what do? They come together in the achievement of a common objectives. Now, you cannot expect a single person to do all the things, isn't it? Whether it is an organization, whether it is a home, whether it is any workplace, whatever it is, you cannot imagine a single person to do all the work. We need the cooperation and coordination of other people in order to achieve that particular goal. Now, earlier what happened? Basically, the lives of human beings were very simple. Simple in the sense, only the collection of the food was the main task of a primitive human being. But as the civilization grew, as the different phases, the human being started inventions and had made several discoveries, the complexity has increased. And because of the complexity, several men had to involve in the performance of work, or for the accomplishment of the goals. Now, for this classical approach has discussed certain principles for the achievement of the goals of an organization. In fact, during the 20th century, the scientific study of organizations has begun. And, Taylor, he has conducted several experiments, and he has given the concept of scientific management that we will discuss later. In this, first we'll discuss about the Luther and Gully, then Fayol, who have given certain principles, for any structure of an organization. Now, structure is very important for any organization, because in a structure, there are different tasks which have to be accomplished. And these tasks are related to each other. And for the effective functioning of any organization, it depends upon the type of structure and, the people they build up and they operate. Another important aspect is of classical approach is, you can say that several principles which assume great importance even the present organizations, they have been discussed initially in these concepts. But if we really relate, they were actually there during the time of Kautilya also. But Western philosophies, they always, as we know, they acquire more popularity than the Eastern thinkers because of the different various reasons. So let us first see what is the contribution of Henry Fayol. Now, Henry Fayol, he was founder of the managerial approach. He stressed that structure of an organization is very important. As I discussed, what is the structure? So he gave the 14 principles of organization. Now, this is very important according to the conceptual wise as well as in the examination point of view also. Henry Fayol has given the 14 principles. Now, what are those principles? Division of work. That is, the work should be divided among the different members of the organization. Now, we have discussed organization is nothing but a group of people working together, isn't it? So when the group of people are working together, each person has got his own role to perform. So according to the skills, according to the qualifications, these are allotted. The division of work is very important. Then authority. Authority should be invested in a position so that responsibilities should be can be attached to that particular person. As I discussed about the difference between power and authority initially, because the authority is nothing but the right you get through the law or legal way of performing the function. And discipline is very important for any organization. For that matter, I can say for any individual, discipline is very important. Unless there is kind of self-discipline, you cannot succeed in whatever endeavor you take up. That is very important because discipline will shape your character as well. Then scalar chain. Scalar chain is just like, it's nothing but hierarchy. Each, there is a level of, superiors and subordinates, and there should be clear demarcation of their roles in the hierarchy. Otherwise, there will be a lot of confusion. That should be avoided. Then unity of command. Unity of command, as I told you, even the Kautilya was discussing about this. Kautilya's Arthashastra also reflected that king was the supreme power, and even here in the organization, what it is discussed is one worker should receive the command from one supervisor only. Then how is it possible? Now, is it really, does it work in the organizations? Now, are we taking only orders from a particular superior, or do we take from the multiple people? Let us discuss that in the later stage. Then centralization and decentralization. Centralization is nothing but concentration of authority at the one point or the central level, we can say. Whereas decentralization is dispersion, or allotting the work to the different people, at the different levels, is nothing but decentralization. Now, whether centralization of power is good or whether decentralization of power is good, what are the advantages of centralization? What are the advantages of decentralization? And what are the disadvantages of centralization? And what are the disadvantages of decentralization. All these things we will discuss in detail in the other chapters, which is scheduled later. Then subordination of the interest to the general interest. Now, a subordination of interest, individual interest is, as I told you, every organization has got certain goals. Even as an individual, we might have certain interest. That is, we join an organization with certain aspirations. That is, we must get good salary, or we must get the promotion, or our working hours and all. But our interest must not exceed, or it must not challenge the organizational goals. The organizational goals are first, they are important. Later comes the interest of the subordinates or the people who are working under it. Then remuneration. Proper and consistent remuneration is very important, because if the employees are dissatisfied, if they do not get the proper remuneration and all, then definitely they are not going to work properly. Because of that, organizational goals, we may not achieve it. Order to be maintained at all times. That is, any kind of conflict should be avoided. Equity, that is justice, should be prevailed in any organization. Then stability of tenure, that is also important, because a person, when he's very satisfied that, and he's very much assured that his job is secure, then definitely he's going to work for the betterment of the organization. But suppose if he feels there is a threat for his job, then definitely he's not going to give his best, because he doesn't know when the company is going to fire him, or when the organization is going to fire. And initiative, that is, all initiatives that contribute to the good of the organization should always be encouraged and considered. Many times what happened, the subordinates, they bring out several ideas, but most of the times, there are few superiors or few these officials, higher officials, they take their ideas and they encourage them, but certain times they are suppressed as well. So whenever the subordinates, or whenever the younger employees, they come forward with their ideas, new ideas, they should be definitely encouraged and implemented also. Then a feeling of teamwork, loyalty, and integrity is very important among the employees, because unless there's a kind of coordination, cooperation, friendship among the employees, suppose if there are always conflicts going on in an organization, groupism and all, then definitely they're not going to work for the organizational goals. Then effectiveness decreases. So these are the different 14 principles given by Fayol. So with this, I'm closing today, and we will continue in the next class. So let me check whether we have any questions for today's session. Yes, you have any questions? Yes, hierarchy means, as I just discussed, there are different levels in an organization. The superiors are there, subordinates are there, and each responsibility is fixed to one person. You have to report to your higher authority, and the work moves from the bottom to upwards and upwards to downwards in the functioning of any organization. Ma'am, please motivate us in every class to focus on study, not only for exam. See, right from the beginning, I have been telling you have to study right from the first class. Otherwise, in the last minute, it is not possible for you to understand the concept first thing. And, as all the concepts, and not only public administration, because you'll have different subjects, isn't it? So all the subjects together studying will, create a lot of problem. So for that reason, you have to study right from the beginning only. This is what I have been telling you all. And, not only our books, but in case if you want to gain more knowledge, there is a very good library at our university. You can just come and, visit. Should we remember every heading and subheading to write in the examination? Is it important? to remember all the subheadings. Just a minute. See, it's not always necessary because it depends. Now, if you can remember, it's well and good. Otherwise, you can even write few of the important points. But, it is a very good tip actually. If you remember what you call the subheadings, then it will be very easy for you to remember all the concept. Otherwise, it will be little difficult for you. That is one of the tip for writing in the examinations also. Not only examinations, but also remembering the concept also. So this is very important. Another important tip what I would like to give is, this is my first class, can you tell block one? See, block 1, we have uploaded that in the YouTube. You can just go to the YouTube and you can just browse the lessons, not only public administration, but also different subjects are available over there. You can just go there and you can, because it's not possible to repeat in all the classes because there is a schedule for all the classes. For that reason, we cannot go on repeating, but it is available. It is available over the net. WhatsApp group for public care. Yeah, see, this is the WhatsApp group link which is shared. Any of you who are attending this class for the first time, you can please join that group so that you might get some inputs. And anything else? Can you say the difference between Kautilya and Sun Tzu ruling? See, it's not, we cannot compare. See, whatever the Kautilya and Sun Tzu, they have explained. Kautilya has given the administrative structure. Now, how the officials should be, and what is the administrative structure and all. Whereas Sun Tzu has given about the warfare, how to succeed in the war. What are our how to strengthen our strengths and how to overcome our weakness. All these aspects were discussed. So this is little different. Kautilya's Arthashastra is different and Sun Tzu's art of warfare is different. Next class, show us question model. Okay. Should we go through the full lesson or just understanding the topic is enough? So it depends upon, purpose. Just if you want to just pass in the examination, then that is fine. But, since you have time, you are, you have time, you can just read the concept also so that it will be very helpful to you, not only just writing for the examination. Add me in the group. You can just see, you go through the chat link which is given. In that link, you can join. You can just join in that. We all the students requested to give some comprehensive shorthand notes prepared by you for easy memorizing of topics. Okay, I will try to do that. Since all of us are connected through this WhatsApp also, we will be in touch even after the schedule is over classes, because last class is on March 6th, I guess. So we can be in touch with that, and I'll try to give, if any notes is available with me, then definitely I will share with all of you so that it will be easy for you. And anything else? Exams date, ma'am. See, first, let us complete the classes, then we will think about the exams. Whatever the dates are announced, they will be updated over the website. You please, go through the website now and then definitely you will get all the information regarding the exams and all. Any internals or labs? See, as such, we don't have a public administration for UG. We don't have any internals or labs, but I'm planning for the seminar. Because that can really help you all. It will provide a platform for you to express yourself, and a topic will be given. We can choose from our own subject only, so that you can prepare for the topic from the textbook. Then you can present in the form of a seminar. That will be very useful for all of you. Have you done your PhD in public administration? See, my profile is available on the website. Yes, I am. I have done my PhD, and I'm professor at Bravo. I'm Urdu medium student. Yes. See, actually, earlier we used to have separate classes for Urdu, but because the strength is very less, so that's why we are connecting in English. I don't think there should be any problem for you in understanding English. In case if you have any doubts, you can just post, over the WhatsApp media, or you can mail me. Then I'll try to help you. Will you give any important questions? See, let us first complete our syllabus. Okay. Then we will see. See, while discussing only, I'm telling you, this topic is important and all. So that will help you. That could help you all. Because now and then I'm just giving you examples also, no, while explaining, I'm telling you. And anything else? Effective answer for any question. Effective answer for any question is like, are you asking how to write an effective answer for any question? What is that exact question? I'm not able to get you. Effective answer for any question. Okay. See, for any examination, first, when you attend the class, then definitely you're going to get the concept, isn't it? So try to put that in your own words on the paper, so that you will be able to understand whether you are really, you understood the concept or not. That will really help you for your future, preparation. Suppose you're not able to put it on the paper, then definitely you need more preparation. And as somebody asked me, headings are important. If you write the headings, that will be really very effective. That will be easy for the examiner to understand that, yes, this answer is, this person has studied well, and he remembers everything and he has written well. That will be easy for you to get good score. What is the intelligence and espionage in the essence of art and war? Just as I told you, intelligence is using your mind. Sometimes our strength might be very less than that of the opponents. Then what happens? Then should we lose the war? Has it happened always? No. The history is evident. Even if the number is less, there are several wars which are waged and they are won. So that is, how is it possible? It is possible only through the intelligence and the wise use of the resources which are available. Then espionage is nothing but the spy system which I have spoken. Even Kautilya has emphasized on the spy system, and even Sun Tzu also, he said that spy system is very important for any kingdom, because we must be able to know what exactly our enemies, they are, what is their strength, and what are they planning and all, and that is possible only through the spy system. Why Bravo asking UPSC preparing candidates, ma'am? See, actually, it's not Bravo, but it is the Department of Public Administration, because what I feel is, as you all people belong to the first semester, and if you're really aiming for some kind of goal, then definitely we are here to help you. Because once you complete the degree, what I feel is there is 2 more years to go. You should not only be you should not only get the degree, just degree, but you should be prepared for the world as well, for any competitive examination. It's not only UPSC, but any kind of examination in whichever you are interested. Planning is important, as we have discussed planning, and that we will discuss in the later class also. Planning is very important. If you start planning from now, that will be very easy for you. And since Department of Public Administration is organizing webinar on civil services orientation also, that will be helpful for all of you. So that is the reason why I have asked. Actually, I have saved the book Kautilya, English book. it is available on the Google. You can just, browse. I'll share it on WhatsApp. The PDF is available, and Art of War, I'm not aware whether it is available. It must be available, that I can share if anybody is interested to read the original book. So I think with this, our time is come to an end. Where will we get the detail about this webinar? That I'll share. Okay, no problem. And we will host it on the website also. So all the details will be given you in advance. You can become the part of that webinar, and that is not an issue. I'm English writer. I'm written a book. Oh, great. Good to know that we have a writer among us. And if possible, you can share your work as well with us, so that we'll be able to read it. And you can share with your friends as well. And if it is really good enough, how to be an IRS. See, all these aspects we can discuss in the webinar. We need not discuss here. That will be explained to you in the webinar. About the civil services or any other competitive examinations, we'll discuss that. So with this, I would like to wind up now for now, and we will meet in the next class. With this, I request you all to join in the next class, that which is scheduled on next Saturday. Okay.